Hi, I'm Lorena. This is Otis. And today I'd like to talk about how to open your heart and how to be vulnerable and why that's important for manifestation, and also how to practice non reaction, how to really not react to your circumstances rather than fighting them. So, the reason I think opening the heart is really important is because so often I see people trying to manifest something, but they only use the mind and not the heart, and they are not open to receiving what they're actually trying to make happen. When we're too focused on our mental diet and our inner conversation and just keeping our mind in check, using affirmations in our conversations, and we're really focused on not letting anything slip by our conscious awareness that we're thinking of, we forget this part. So, of course, there's nothing wrong with keeping your mind in check. All of those tools and practices that I've just mentioned are very powerful and important. Your mind is such a powerful tool, and you do need to pay attention when it comes to your negative self-talk and how you phrase things. Your words can be very powerful. It has an impact. You want to be aware of it, absolutely. But don't forget about the rest. When we incorporate a heart-centered approach into our manifestation practice, we break free from the limitations of the mind. And we also allow ourselves to feel our emotions fully without fear. When we use both mind and body and heart, we're able to fully embody our desires with mind, body, spirit. So, what are the benefits of opening your heart for manifestation specifically? First of all, when your heart is open, you're able to really get to know yourself because you're not denying yourself anything. You're not denying yourself your desires. You're not denying the fears that you have within you. You're not burying anything within you. You're open, right? And that really allows you to access and heal all those fearful parts that otherwise might be holding you back in your manifestation. Equally, you also bring your deepest desires to the surface. That allows you to access desires that you maybe didn't even know were there and that you can now make manifest. You just get to know yourself a lot better. You gain a lot more clarity. And aside from now knowing what you want, you're also now opening yourself up to receiving what you want. So opening yourself up is scary. Opening your heart is scary. I totally get it. When you open your heart up, you're making yourself vulnerable. You drop everything that protects you. You bring those walls down, and it doesn't feel safe. So when you do this, it's really important that you try and cultivate that safety within yourself through self-love practices, for example, embodiment practices. But it's so rewarding because when you do open up fully, when you crack that heart wide open, you open up the pathways to all possibilities. And of course, an open heart increases your compassion and empathy, and that really makes it easier to interact with people. It makes it a lot easier to act and react from a place of love. It also makes it easier to connect to your subconscious mind, to access it a lot better, and to also, in the same vein, connect to your intuition, to your true self, to your true being, rather than just your mind, your ego. So, how do you open your heart? How can you be more vulnerable and more authentic? So, the first step is awareness. Bring awareness to your current state of being, bring awareness to your feelings. Don't deny yourself anything, be that beliefs that you don't want to have, feelings that you don't want to feel. If you deny yourself your current reality or beliefs, that often just reinforces more doubt because deep down you already know. The only person you would be hiding from is yourself, right? So there is nothing to hide ever. You can't hide it. And you also can't deny your emotions. So feel what you need to feel. Emotions don't go anywhere. If you try to not feel them, if you suppress them, they will stay with you. They will just come out or manifest in different ways, which you don't want, trust me. So my advice is to find tools and practices that help you release your emotions. And that can be different for different people. So it might look like speaking to someone. It might look like speaking to a therapist or a coach or a friend you trust. Or it may look like writing about it, for example, journaling. I like to bring those emotions out through the body. So I like to dance or use physical movement in general, exercise, physical exercise. I also really like using the breath specifically transformational breath work, which I teach, by the way. So if you're interested, I've got the information in the description box. Or you can also just release it through crying or laughter or screaming or making noise. Find what resonates with you. But the important thing is you don't want to internalize those feelings. You really want to express them, and you want to find healthy ways to do so. You can still remain in faith and persistence whilst being a person with a full spectrum of emotions, like we all are. What I also want to address is not reacting to physical circumstances and what that has to do with being vulnerable and having an open heart and being authentic. Depending on how much you know about manifestation, you will know that in order to manifest what you desire, all you really need to do is shift into the state of already being or having it. And when you truly do that, if you see anything opposing in your physical reality, it will not bother you. And therefore, you break the cycle of reacting to it because your perception has shifted so much from wanting and longing to being or having. But this non-reaction is often the most challenging thing for people. So I want to give you a personal example of what non-reaction not is and what that has to do with an open heart and vulnerability. Because when I was in the beginnings of my journey, my personal journey with this, I knew that it was important not to react to circumstances because otherwise you perpetuate the situation. So what I did, I forced myself to not react. But I didn't realize that that also meant that my heart was closed off. I was not being myself. I was not being authentic. I was not showing my true self. I was not being vulnerable. I wouldn't show my true feelings because I didn't want to react. Now, the thing is, that was a very strong reaction in itself. Why? Because essentially I was faking it. I was forcing myself to be somewhere where I wasn't. Maybe I wasn't reacting externally, but emotionally I very much was reaction, even if I was suppressing it as much as I could. The non-reaction didn't come from a place of love, a place of living in the end. It came from a place of trying to make something happen. So I thought, if I don't react to the circumstance, then my manifestation is going to come quicker. In truth, the results you desire are always yours. And your only job is to shift your self-concept and shift your state and your perception of what you come across on the way. The point that I wanted to make with that story is that it's not always the best course of action to hold everything in and to hold it back. And that if you are truly in the wish fulfilled, you actually can be completely open and honest and vulnerable because you know it's not going to change anything to the outcome. You can be who you really are and you can feel what you really feel. There is also a huge difference between being open and vulnerable and owning that from a place of love or being reactive and uncontrolled with your emotions. You can embrace the full spectrum of emotions without letting them run the show. What plays into this as well is self-love. Because when you are vulnerable and you allow yourself to be honest and open with somebody and you're self-loving, you do it for you and not to achieve a certain outcome or reaction. Remember that how other people react or what other people say is also a reflection of your fears and doubts anyway. So what I mean by that, if someone says something to you that triggers you, that will only trigger you if you already feel insecure about it. If you're in the end result and you don't feel insecure about it, it won't trigger you. So if you are really in the end result, you can honestly tell a person how you feel or how you feel about them. You can be completely honest, you can be yourself, and you can even set healthy boundaries because you're not doing it for them, you're not doing it to get a specific reaction, you're doing it for yourself, to be authentic with yourself, and because your heart is open. But on the flip side, if you actively refuse to be honest and open, then ask yourself where that's coming from. That means that your assumption was already that you wouldn't get the reaction that you want to get. And this also doesn't mean that you need to verbalize or communicate everything. In fact, whilst you're working on things and healing things, it's often best if you don't, but bring an awareness to it. Be aware of when you're holding back from being truthful and honest and open, and ask yourself where that's coming from and why you're doing it. Because the thing is, you can't fake it. It's okay not to be where you want to be yet. You always have the choice to shift, but you cannot fake it. The only person you would be tricking would be yourself. So try cracking that heart open. Try being more open with yourself, with others. It's truly a game changer in so many ways. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want more information, check out the description box below. There's a free 28-day self-love challenge. And I've also got information about coaching and breath work, which I've mentioned earlier. Yeah, let me know what you think. Leave me a comment and I'll see you next time.